Greetings, AP Scholars. It's Mrs. McGeehan. I'm here to lead you through a few note-taking exercises for our lesson today, which is going to be to introduce to you language as a system. So to get you started for today's lesson, what I'd like you to do is go back into your saved files and find the file that you saved maybe as systems notes, or however you saved it. It looked like this, and we did this probably around Thanksgiving when we were starting to look at systems in general. And we did this right before the Aren't Systems Just People article that I had you read. So if you could find this in your files and pull it up, or go into Schoology and find where you submitted it if you can't find it in your files. That is what we are going to start with today. So go ahead and pause this video until you are able to find yours. And once you have it open, you can go ahead and start the video once again. Once you have your notes ready to go, I'm going to have you just give you a quick reminder here of our enduring guiding questions that we're going to continue to come back to as we think about systems in this spring semester. So the 4 questions we're going to continue to consider are: how are systems created and defined? How does literature reflect systems and their growth? How do systems shape the world? And what is the role of the individual in systems? So to get us started today, I'm going to have you add to your notes. And you can just go ahead and do exactly what I'm doing to set up your notes for today. And you're going to go ahead and create a heading that just says System Language. And you can pause until you're ready with that. And when you're ready, you can let me know. Or rather, you can go on with the next step. So for the next step, I'm going to have you paste or type out our first warm-up question, which is going to be, per the definitions of system, how does language function as a system? So I'd like you to go back up to your notes above, and where you have potentially your brainstormed definitions of system, and or you can do some digging in Merriam-Webster or elsewhere on the internet to again kind of refresh your memory of what the definitions of system are. And then I want to give you a few minutes here to let you pause this video and have you reflect in writing on this question. So give yourself a good 3, 4, 5 minutes if you need it to pause the video and respond to this first question. Per the definitions of system, how does language function as a system? Okay, once you've had a chance to think about the first question, I'm going to give you again a few moments to think about this next question on your own as well. So this next question reads like this: does the language we speak shape the way we think? And as you ponder this, take a few minutes to do so, to think through that question. And once you seem to have arrived at your response, I'd like you to think about at least one example that would support your thinking, that would support your response. So again, I'm going to ask you to pause this video and give yourselves 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes to think about this and provide your response that includes at least one example. And when you have finished that, you can go ahead and resume the video for your next steps. In just a few moments, you're going to watch a TED Talk that poses the same question: does the language we speak shape the way we think? And to guide your thinking a little bit as you watch that very interesting TED Talk, I'm going to have you again revisit our guiding questions, but we're going to reframe them in the context of language. So I'm going to post these questions for you again down here in your notes. And I want you to take a moment then to type them into your notes on your own and pausing the video as you need to in order to capture them. So again, our question, how are systems created and defined, is going to translate into how is language created and defined. How does literature reflect systems and their growth will be translated into how does literature reflect language and its growth. How do systems shape the world is going to be translated into how does language shape the world. And what is the role of the individual in systems is going to be translated into what is the role of the individual in the system of language. So I'm just going to go ahead and post those questions down here so that you can pause the video as you need to and type those questions into your own notes. So again, how is language created and defined? How does literature reflect language and its growth? How does language shape the world? And what is the role of the individual in the system of language? So again, I'm going to give you a moment to pause your video until you have those 4 questions recorded in your notes. And when you're ready, pop back here for further instruction. Okay, AP Scholars, you're going to keep these 4 questions in mind as you watch the TED Talk that I mentioned just a minute ago. So when you're ready to watch the TED Talk, you're going to hop on over into our courses folder for the week. And I have the TED Talk linked here for you. Whoops, it will be linked when you go to do it. But the TED Talk is called How Language Shapes the Way We Think. So you're going to spend some time, it's about 15 minutes, watching this TED Talk. And as you watch, I would encourage you to pause the video as you keep in mind the questions that we just reviewed. How is language created and defined? How does literature reflect language and its growth? How does language shape the world? And what is the role of the individual in the system of language? And as you're watching the TED Talk, I would encourage you to pause the TED Talk where you think you might have come across an answer or a response for one of those questions. And I'd ask that you note either the particular line or quote from the TED Talk, or just make a note about how it connects to one of those questions. And when you're finished watching the TED Talk and when you're finished with your note taking, you will submit this where I have the submission slot. Again, you can make sure that you pause the video as you need to, replay if you need to, and you can rewatch any segment that you need to. I would also encourage you to turn on the closed captioning in English so that or your preferred language, so that you can follow along. And if you do that, it also makes it easy to copy and paste the quotations from there as well. So that's it for today, friends. Once you finish watching the TED Talk and responding to these 4 questions with evidence from the TED Talk, you can go ahead and submit your notes in the submission slot, and that's it for today. We'll continue our discussions on the system of language as I continue to see you throughout the week. Thanks, and I hope you have a great day.